This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Hey, what's up? My name is Nigel, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably realized that I haven't really done any videos titled how to shoot epic B-roll or anything like that. And the main reason being is because I don't typically need to shoot epic B-roll. The stuff that I talk about is, I feel like, pretty normal, and there's nothing really that epic about it. But in today's video, I did want to show you how I shoot products or shoot B-roll with cheap cameras like my Panasonic GH3. But instead of shooting camera gear, I thought, why don't I actually shoot something that someone might actually be hired to shoot? So my buddy actually owns a coffee roasting company, so I thought I would shoot some B-roll of his coffee. So I've decided to use some pieces of gear that are pretty inexpensive. I'm gonna be using my Panasonic GH3, this 42.5 f1.7 with image stabilization, which if you're in the Micro Four Thirds, I can't recommend this lens enough. It's got image stabilization at an 85mm equivalent field of view, which is sweet. And it's really sharp at f1.7. So I'm gonna be using this lens as well as the trusty 25mm f1.7, basically the nifty 50 of the Micro Four Thirds world. And for movement, I'm gonna be using this little ALXMNR slider, which I actually did a review on right there. This thing is, I don't know, like 50 bucks or something like that. As far as lights, I'm gonna be using one of my trusty Falcon Eyes RX8Ts, and I just found out that Falcon Eyes actually makes little tiny soft boxes for these little RX8T lights that I like so much. So I'm gonna be using one of these, and I'm also gonna be using my Falcon Eyes F7 RGB light. This one is a little expensive, but there are actually a lot of really cheap RGB lights that you can find on Amazon that work probably just as well. Something that I do wanna say though is that I feel like the term B-roll can be overused a lot, especially here on YouTube. And the idea of B-roll is it's supposed to supplement what you're actually talking about. So it doesn't really make sense to just have more B-roll than you do A-roll, I guess, and be something for reference, not something that consumes the entire video. So don't go too crazy with shooting a bunch of B-roll, but if you were hired to shoot a product or something like that, I'm gonna show you how I would do it with some cheap equipment. So before we get into shooting, I did want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. Now, if you haven't heard about Skillshare before, basically it's an online learning community for creative people. So whatever it is that you wanna learn more about, maybe it's film and video or music production or photography, Skillshare has a class that can help you get a deeper understanding of that subject. So one class that I took recently that I really enjoyed was DIY cinematography by one of my favorite cinematographers, Ryan Booth. So in his class, he teaches you his techniques on how you can shape natural light and then creates a short little film at the end of it with his techniques and practice. And for me, as someone who definitely tries to push the importance of good lighting in your video, Ryan's class is something that I can definitely recommend. So what's really cool is that the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below are gonna get a 2-month free trial of a premium Skillshare membership, which is an amazing deal. So definitely try to be one of the first 1,000 people to click that link in the description and get yourself that 2-month free trial. Once again, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get to shooting. All right, so let's get to shooting, but first off, there are gonna be a couple other pieces of kit that you'll see here that I'm using to help me achieve the shots that I'm doing. And one of them being this $20 mic stand, which I'm gonna use to mount my light to. I'm also gonna be playing around with this wand light that Caleb Pike talked about. This is like 20 bucks. I'll probably also use some black foam core just as either a backdrop or to cut out some light. And then lastly, I'm gonna be using this extension arm, which you mount onto your tripod. That's gonna help me get more of a top-down, like tabletop shot. So this one was about 35 bucks, I think. I'll leave a link in the description below if you wanna check it out. But yeah, I am using some other pieces of kit other than just the lights and the slider. Just so you know, these are the pieces of kit that I'm using to help me achieve the shots that I get.
I'm setting up my main light shooting down on the product to create more of a dramatic look. And then I'm using the 2 smaller lights to help the product pop from that black background. So I decided to not use any color with my RGB light and instead go with a nice clean black set. I set up my GH3 in 60p with the appropriate shutter speed because I wanted to try some shots in slow motion.
So what I'm gonna do now is do a couple more slider shots, and then I'm gonna go for the shooting down tabletop type shot. So my little falconized light, I have it hitting the ceiling and then it's bouncing back, and it is gonna be lighting that up really nice and softly and evenly. And then again, I have the little F7 right there, just creating a little bit of light on the bag. And then at the opposite corner, the wand light, and that's how it's looking. And then what I'm gonna do is take a bunch of these coffee beans in my hands and kind of drop them from the camera lens and then slow it down and see how that looks. So yeah, that's how I would shoot product video using my old Panasonic GH3. And something that I kind of didn't touch on that much is I didn't actually end up using this 42.5mm lens, even though this is a great lens and it's super sharp and you can really isolate the subject with this kind of a lens because it gives you about an 85mm equivalent field of view. I actually found that the good old 25mm f1.7, this super cheap lens, was actually like the perfect focal length for the kind of stuff that I was doing. So I ended up just using this 25mm the whole time. Some other things that I did just to enhance my slow-mo a little bit was, instead of using frame blending, I used optical flow when I transformed my 60p footage into a 24 frames per second timeline. And I actually slowed it down about 42% instead of 50, just to give it that little bit of extra slow motion. And using optical flow, it kind of smooths out any of those weird frame jumps that you might see if you were using frame blending as opposed to optical flow. But yeah, that's how I would shoot some product videos, and the same principle would apply if I was shooting B-roll for a product that I was reviewing or something like that here on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that it was helpful, if not entertaining for you. If it was, it'd be really cool if you hit the like button. And again, big thanks to the sponsor of this video, which was Skillshare. Again, try to be one of those first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below. You're gonna get yourself a 2-month free trial, a premium membership of Skillshare. And if you like this video, what you can probably do is click right over here. You can check out some of my other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later.